The conviction of some of the Proud Boys on charges of seditious conspiracy seems to me a grave miscarriage of justice. Now, sure, these Proud Boys are boisterous characters. They get into fights with Antifa. They see themselves as a kind of a group that is self-appointed to provide security to MAGA people and to Trump. They have evidently came to Washington, D.C. with those ideas. And they engage in a lot of tough talk, particularly in their chats where they talk about if this happens, we're going to move into action. And giving a couple of sample tweets where they talk about if things get violent, we're ready for it. But the important thing to realize is that none of these Proud Boys brought any weapons. Enrico Tarrio, the head of the Proud Boys, Hispanic guy, wasn't even in D.C. On that day. But nevertheless, the Justice Department claims that these guys were part of a conspiracy. And they're able to get a conviction here by, first of all, defining conspiracy in an unbelievably general way. Essentially, conspiracy is nothing more than talking. Quote, what the government must prove beyond a reasonable doubt is that two or more persons arrived at some type of agreement, including a mutual understanding or meeting of the minds to try to accomplish a common and unlawful objective. So two or more people come to some sort of agreement. Again, the agreement doesn't have to be explicit. It doesn't have to be evidently in writing. People could even, in fact, the prosecutor himself said you can use a wink and a nod to imply your agreement. And so this is a very low standard, especially for such a serious charge, a charge that has been virtually never brought in American history. You have to go back over a century, pretty much to the time of the Civil War to find when these kinds of charges were even contemplated. And yet here they are being deployed by vengeful prosecutors, by compliant judges, and highly biased juries. So all of this shows the degree to which we have really departed from the norms of laws fairly applied in the United States. And all of us have to be much more vigilant ourselves not to get caught in these kinds of traps. The idea that we have today a justice system, particularly on political matters, that is sort of equitable or fair, I think should be recognized as an illusion. I don't know if it means that we are as bad or worse than other countries, but let's just say that this sort of contrast between us and them, we do things right, our jury system is the best in the world. I don't think it is the best in the world. And certainly there's no one has provided any comparable evidence today to show that our jury system is better than the jury system of lots of other countries where I'm sure lots of shenanigans go on as well. But there's a very interesting angle on this Proud Boys trial that can be missed, and that is that what the prosecutors have been trying to do consistently is set up the blame to be put on Trump. So Julie Kelly, in one of her articles on this, makes the point that in discussing the Proud Boys case, presenting the kind of closing argument to the jury, the prosecutors, of course, had a lot of clips, but they begin with a clip not from any of the defendants, but they begin with a clip from Trump. And what is the clip? Well, Trump is in the debate with Joe Biden, and they're talking about white supremacists and militia groups. And Trump says, well, what are you talking about? Give me the name of a group. And Biden goes, the Proud Boys. And basically Trump goes, Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. And that's all he says. Now, I don't exactly know what that even means, but it looks like the Proud Boys, according to the DOJ, they took this as some kind of call to arms or call to action. Quote, these defendants saw themselves as Donald Trump's army, fighting to keep their preferred leader in power no matter what. And then as the case goes on, you find other examples where Trump is sort of pulled in the case. Trump's comment to, quote, fight like hell, which again doesn't necessarily mean to pick up clubs and batons and fights. It can mean politically stand up and fight, which we see on social media all the time. Our side needs to fight. Our side needs to not to let this go unanswered. And it is this is the most plausible description of what Trump is saying. But nevertheless, and this is Julie Kelly's point, that the reason that they're weaving in Trump is that when you get the conviction for seditious conspiracy, this then comes to the attention of the special counsel Jack Smith, and Jack Smith can say, wait a minute, if there was a conspiracy, and by the way, we've already proven to a jury with the Proud Boys that there is a conspiracy, well, who is the leader of this conspiracy? None other than Trump. Now, in a sense, this is moving too fast, and by itself, it's not convincing, because simply to say that the Proud Boys understood Trump to be saying, hey, you're my army. Well, first of all, Trump didn't say, you're my army. But second of all, the fact that they took it that way doesn't mean that Trump meant it that way. Obviously, in a case against Trump himself, you have to prove that Trump intended to foment a controversy. But again, biased judges, biased juries, a vengeful prosecutor. In some ways, the elements are in place to try to go after Trump and try to obtain a conviction of Trump for inciting for seditious conspiracy in much the same way that they were able to establish in front of the DC biased juries for the Proud Boys.